C. If the act were forbearance by promise, would it be any act benefit to promisor? The promisor's motive was induced. To explain it simply, they are trying to say, what they are trying to say is this the value? Is this the value? And one of the value, what we've been talking about was our dollar, and let's say this was dollar, and this was, let's say, good. So there was, the benefit and loss. What if rather than good, when they say forbearance, it means, hey, I'll give you $1,000, but you promise me you will not file the lawsuit against me. That's called forbearance. So I'm willing to give you some money, but promise me you will not file the lawsuit against me. And they're saying that forbearance is, they consider that as value. Because other person had the right to file the lawsuit, but he's giving up his right. So that is, they consider that as legal value. Now, number 2, past consideration. Now, past consideration is the example of our painter, what we just discussed about 10 minutes ago. That house owner and painter promised, hey, paint my house for $1,000. And the painter later on said, hey, I can't do it. You need to pay me $1,500. And the owner said, hey, owner said yes, but thing is, the law is that basically there is no new consideration for house owner. What he promised was past consideration, so he needs new consideration. So we talk about dog house. He has to pay something new. If he doesn't give anything, there is no new consideration. I told you again, this contract is very technical thing. We are continuously all these elements. So here they are now saying, hey, what is consideration? Is this consideration? Is not. So when we, let's say, get into lawsuit, then we can also argue, hey, their consideration was no good. Because number one, in the house between painter and the house owner saying that consideration is no good because that, we're talking about $1,500, not $1,000. For $1,000 there was consideration, but for $1,500, additional $500, house owner is saying there was no consideration. You didn't, I didn't get anything. But if he said, paint my doghouse, then there is a value of exchange. So all these are very technical arguments. Okay, on legal value, let's not get into too much detail. Let's skip that because we already talked about that. Because this handout is for my law school student. But this is more better organized than the textbook, the lecture note. So I brought this. Okay, so let's take a look at C. On page 5, the 3-C. Now, suretyship promise means when somebody's promised to pay somebody, let's say father is willing to pay for daughter's loan. So then basically for father's point of view, he doesn't get any benefits, right? It's a daughter. Let's say daughter have a lot of She borrowed a lot of money from her friend, and daughter is always she's no longer smiling. So father says, "What's wrong?" The daughter said, "Hey, I owe too much money to my friend." And if the father said, "Okay, I will take care of that," to friend, that's called surety promise. So it says surety contract involves promise to pay debt of other. Surety contract is not enforceable unless it is supported by consideration, right? So because there is, from father's point of view, I didn't get any benefit. So unless it is basically there's something some father get, some benefit. Now I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're gonna later on actually get into other area, but we're gonna come to that. The bottom rule is, we're gonna actually get to that a little later. If I promise to pay somebody else's debt, like my daughter, if I sign it in writing, then it's binding. But if I didn't sign it, there's no consideration. I can say as much as I want to, then I don't have to pay for it. But we're gonna actually get into the area called statute of fraud, which means something has to be in writing, then it becomes binding. Now on page 5, let's talk about this concept. This concept is, since you might this term called or we call let's say, go back to the painter example again. Let's say I told painter unilaterally, hey, I'll give you $1,000 if you paint my house by end of July. Then painter was painting my house, and suddenly he received the phone call from family in Korea. Let's say Korea, it was contract between two Korea. And painter said, hey, your father is about to die. You better take a plane, come over to Korea tonight. Then painter was only painting, painter only finished half of the house. He had to leave. Now from my point of view, I'm the A, he's the B. I told him, if you finish painting of my house, I'll give you $1,000. But in this scenario, painter did not finish painting. So I don't have to pay him anything. Legally, I don't have to pay him anything. Why? Because my condition of paying him was, you finish my house painting by July 30th, right? So this painter goes to Korea, finish funeral, he comes back a week later. He said, it's not fair that I paint your house, half of it, pay me $500 at least. And I tell him, nope, contract is contract, right? If painter go take me to the court, can he get paid for 500?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
So now that's why there's this so-called promissory estoppel. Now this promissory estoppel, probably this is Latin also. Promissory estoppel means somehow there wasn't valid contract. The bad contract was not fulfilled. However, if without, if we consider that there was no contract and there is unjust enrichment, to one party. So painter is saying, I spend my paint, I spend my labor, I paint half of his house. If I don't get compensated anything, he, house owner, will be unjustly enriched. So the judge here it said, that sounds right. Somebody is getting benefit of somebody. So they create the law called promissory estoppel. So promissory estoppel, the theory is even though there was no legal contract, so contract, there was something wrong with the legal contract. So there was no contract was created, court will consider as contract was created, or court will still compensate the other party, because if they don't, other party will unjust enrich. So what happened here? In promissory estoppel, there is no consideration. So probably other than consideration, there was, it meant other element of contract, but because of the lack of consideration, there was no legal contract. But one party, it might be too unfair to one party. So this we call more, we call equity. What is equity? Court is trying to be fair, right? It's another, in Virginia, we use the term equity also. We call equity court. You know, the difference between California and Virginia, there's a big difference in divorce law. California, in this country, there are 8 states in this country called community property law. It means whatever the husband and wife own, both husband and wife owns it equally. So, if the wife doesn't work, if the husband only work, and if even the husband bought the property only under his name, wife can claim half of the property. So in California law means whatever they earn during their marriage time is property of both parties. Virginia.
You said it's in 8 states in the United States.
Yeah. Not
What's it
every.
called?
Community property. Yeah. So there's a big difference during divorce. In Virginia, is separate property law. In Virginia, whatever two couple, if the two couple decide to keep their property separately, that's okay. So in Virginia, basically, unless both people put their both of name in their property, if they purchase the property under husband's name, that's husband's. But in California, if the husband only put their name only, still wife can claim 50%. So what happened in Virginia? Wife is staying home. She doesn't work. Husbands only work. Husband take care of the financial matter. Wife worked their butt out to raise children, put everybody, all the kids into college. Husband said, I want divorce. I want new life. Kids are grown up, They can look up themselves. The wife said, "What about me?" Husband said, "What? This is a separate property, estate. Everything is under my name. Everything is mine. What can wife do?" In this state, wife could go to so-called equity court.
Equity.
Yeah, equity means fair, justice, right? The wife can go to equity court. I mean, it's all the court, we call equity court, it's all one court, but we just call equity because legally it's husband. But wife is telling the court it is unjust. It's not, if I don't get any compensation from this divorce, I raise I raise kids, I devote myself to the family, and if I walk out with nothing, there's inequity, it's unfair. Then wife can claim under equity court, just like promissory estoppel. Legally there is no claim. Legally there is no right. But she is saying to the judge, make this fair. Although there is no legal contract or legally, you got to make a fair decision that I basically made so much contribution to family and his success. And let's say what happened, let's say this guy, when they were married, he even didn't graduate college. And she worked in McDonald's, sent him to college, make him a dentist, right? Then after he became dentist, she quit her job. He earned the money, and she supported him. Then basically, then what happened is, she can say, I made him what he is now. So she's telling judge, be fair. The thing is, there is no formula. In equity court, there is no formula. In California, because it's community property law, everything is, there's a formula. Because in California, everything is 50-50. And when somebody gets divorced, we need to divide everything, even from the retirement money, life insurance, everything. We use a formula, and we inject the number, and the computers spit out number in California.
Is it 50-50 in all the states that have the
Community property law.
If husband is working, wife is doing nothing, but the house, they love each other, and when the house, but it goes and wife name.
Under wife name only?
Yeah.
In California, it doesn't matter. It's all 50-50. But in Virginia, that's why in Virginia, even myself actually, when I have a house, I told my, you can just put your name. That's a big mistake. She might be considering, good. Maybe she already know the law. She said, good, I knew you were gonna say that. You're an easy guy. But normally that's a big mistake. I think the best thing is you need to legally
keep your stuff
put
for
everything
yourself.
out. Let me tell you this one business case I'm handling right now. This is a dry cleaner. The husband and wife owns the dry cleaner. They have two dry cleaners. Wife is running small dry cleaner. Husband is running big dry cleaner. Husband found a new girlfriend. So, but he cannot tell his wife. So, but he want to get eventually divorced. So he needs to prepare. How? When there's a how to prepare. So he needs to take all the money. He needs to hire the cash. But he wants to transfer his dry cleaner under his name only. So he intentionally did not pay the rent. So he planned for quite a while. He did not pay the rent. So the landlord will send the eviction notice, right? Then he tells his friend, hey, this is my story. You go and get a new lease. His friend go and get a new lease. Then husband tell his wife, I lost the lease because I didn't pay the rent. So he changed the dry cleaner's name under his friend's name, and they become a partner. Wife think that friend is really bad guy, not knowing husband's intention. So wife hired me to protect her. So we thought it was simply filing a lawsuit against his friend. So we filed a lawsuit against his friend and landlord. When we filed the lawsuit to everybody we can think of. Then eventually find out that it's not friend is the problem, it's her husband is the problem. So her husband, this wife got shocked knowing that her husband tried to evade her the property. So it's divorce is always, there's always the story. Divorce is so, I hate divorce case because there's always one person has to cry, and there's always bad scheme, and also when there's a kid, it becomes more complicated. Then there is also, the child support and all that. Then it gets more complicated because now we have a new woman. She doesn't want to pay the child support. So it's a mess. But anyway, so that story was, to me, it was really even shocking because husband planned all that for a year, and wife never thought it was a problem but it was, got into bad divorce case. Okay, hey, let's take a break. We came a long way. 15 minutes break. What did it show?